What is up, Young Nation, and what is up, newcomers? My name is Brady Young, and welcome to the very first episode, the very first part, the very first entry to a very new special series. Of course, you can see it in the title, but I decided, I'm doing a lot of writing, I've got a couple books out already. I do quite a few, Okay, I'm sorry, I messed up already. Wow, what a good writer I am when I can't talk right. I have a few short stories out. I even have a poem out. And they're all on my Facebook page. If you go into my description and click on my social media pages on the Facebook link, it'll take you to my Facebook page called The Young Books. You can see a lot of the stuff. I usually reshare them every so often, so if people want to go and check them out, you can. With all the writing I've done, I thought to myself, why not do something else with my YouTube videos? Why not impart a little wisdom, a little knowledge, a little something. So, I'm doing a how-to writing series. And this is the very first entry. And it is brainstorming. It is a very vital thing that you should always do if you're thinking about writing. Just even if you're contemplating writing a short story, a poem, anything really, even a screenplay, even something for a movie, it's always good to brainstorm. And I actually have a couple of jot notes, but I'm going to reiterate this a lot. You got to brainstorm. 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 Why is brainstorm so important? I mean, I said I have a couple jot notes, but why is because then you can get all these different thoughts that you have for what you want to write down on a piece of paper and see if they would connect well, if they would run together well, what wouldn't go well together. And brainstorming is such a key thing because, we've all been taught brainstorming since the days of high school and elementary. We were told that for pretty much a lot of classes. I remember that for science, being told to do that, for group projects being told to brainstorm, and also for writing in the English classes, well, ELA. Brainstorming is so vital because when we did it in school, it was to again create something that would connect well, that would work well together. It's the same for writing, for anything you're writing, a screenplay, a book, a poem, a short story. Even if the poem is only like 8 lines, it's still good to brainstorm on how you want it to fit together, how you want everything to rhyme well and just be a good poem. Again, you want it to all connect, and so I have written down a few jot notes. I'm sorry I'm messing up my words. I don't know why. I've had a long night. But I have a few jot notes and I'm just going to read them out. Characters. You definitely want to brainstorm characters, how many you want, what kind of characters, the personalities, just who they are, even what they look like, and just how they fit. If you're creating a science fiction or fantasy novel or anything like that, you definitely want to brainstorm how the characters are going to look. If you're creating one that's an alien world, you definitely want to brainstorm how is that all going to look. How is the planet going to look if you're doing an alien world. If you're doing fantasy like elves and orcs and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely good to brainstorm how do they look. As well, for brainstorming for characters, you want to brainstorm both the protagonist and the antagonist. Protagonist, what's the protagonist going to be like? Who is he or who is she going to be? What is so important and vital about them? Just exactly like the antagonist, what is so important and vital about them? Who is he, who is she? What is it about them that drove them to be the antagonist, or for the protagonist, what drove them to be the protagonist? Just as well, for another thing, is plot. You definitely want to brainstorm the plot, because that is the story, that is the vital key of the story. I'm sorry for my dog barking. As well with plot, you definitely want to, I'll go into more detail for all these things, but you want to brainstorm events, the beginning, the middle, and the end. I'll go into more detail with certain things like beginning, middle, and end, But more importantly, for events, what kind of events do you want? Brainstorm what events. Like fights, do you want to have these special fight scenes and everything? Just like a downfall. And what I mean by downfall is, for the protagonist, you want to brainstorm what is going to happen to the protagonist that sets them out on this journey to stop the antagonist. And the antagonist can actually be not just a person, but nature itself, or a deity, or whatever you want it. The antagonist is not restricted to being a person, which is a very vital thing. Just like characters don't have to be restricted to people. Characters can actually be nature itself. Well, for events that you want to brainstorm is the antagonist or even the protagonist going to have love interest? Because the antagonist might be turning into an antagonist because of a love interest, because something happened. Just like the protagonist, something might have happened to their love interest, and now that's why they're a protagonist, because what has set them on their journey. Again, it could be the loss of a loved one, a loss of a family member, of all this different stuff. So you definitely want to brainstorm it. And now moving on to the beginning. You definitely want to brainstorm, how is it all going to start? Is it going to start very calm and just move into it, or do you just want to throw the readers into the thick of it? Do you just want to go right into chaos and just explain it? Because then from the beginning, some people can do that and you can pull it off really well. You just need to, once you've done it, because movies and video games and all these different things have actually showcased how to go right into chaos, and then you give backstory. It's that flashback. So really, you could do the chaos as this is what's present, and then build up the book up to that moment. But you definitely want to brainstorm how you're going to start the book. Just like the middle, what are the key events do you want there to be in the middle? Because the middle is usually the build-up of everything. That is where the climax is happening, and that's where everything just kind of goes down to the end. But there are also some books out there that have that high point throughout the book. My books, in particular, I like just having all this fast-paced action going and going and going, but I still do have those moments of this is that realization of what's all going on, definitely around that middle section, and then it just leads down to the ending. But usually for my books, some books actually have the ending as not on some of the notes I've had. My books end on this very high note, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys want to give that a read and tell me what you think. Go ahead. Definitely for the end, you want to brainstorm how it'll end, because again, you want to connect from the beginning to the middle and to the end, and you definitely want to brainstorm how is it all going to make sense. You don't want to have any plot holes, because if you have holes in the story that you've written out, it just gets confusing, not just for you to write it, but also for the reader. I can't tell you how many times I went back in the first book and I had to erase certain things because I realized it did not work, because it didn't make sense. And I'm so glad I did that for some of those things, because I feel like if I left a lot of the stuff that I decided to get rid of in my first book, the people that have read it probably wouldn't have liked it. The judge that reviewed my book for the Writer's Digest probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, because it would have been confusing. So you definitely want the end. You definitely want an ending that kind of connects and almost is just talking about what's all happened and how's it going to move forward. Especially with that though, that leads to a very key thing for brainstorming. Do you want the book to be a series or just a standalone book? If you can tell a story within one book, that's awesome. Brainstorm how it's all going to be, what length you want it to be, and go from there. But as well with brainstorming, you also want to see, well, could this book be spread out more? Just like for short stories, do you want to have multiple short stories connections? Or is it just one short story? But definitely when it comes to novels, you want to brainstorm, can it just stand on its own? Can it be a standalone book? Or should I give more details? Sometimes it's always good to do more books, just because you can give that more detail. You can go in depth. You can create this mythos, like Cassandra Clare has, like Rick Riordan has, like I'm doing. I'm creating this whole universe. But there's so many authors that create this mythos. I mean, it's not entirely rare that you see authors just do one standalone book, because there are some that do. Frank E. Peretti and Ted Dekker, they do standalone books too, and it works so well. But you definitely want to brainstorm, how do I want this book to go? How do I want it all to connect? How do I want the characters to be? What do I want them to be like? Who do I want the characters to be? Where? And you definitely want to brainstorm the time period. You definitely want to brainstorm the place, what kind of place you want it to be, whether it's, modern day now, like Earth, or if you wanted to create another planet, or you want to do all this stuff. And that's where you got to definitely brainstorm of, these mythos, these histories, these origins for the people and the races that you do connect, you do create, and all their connections and everything. That is all I had for you guys for my very first how-to writing video, and I will definitely be doing more of these, and I will definitely be going into more in depth in a lot of these other things, and especially some of the things I've talked about, like beginning, middle, and end. I'll go into more detail. But thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a like. Don't forget to comment down below. Comment down below if you have any tips for brainstorming, and don't forget to share with some friends. If you know anyone, family or friends, or just anyone that you know that you've met that has thought about writing, doing anything like that, definitely share this with them. As well, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more. And when you subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell notification so you get notified when I put out a video. And when you subscribe, you become part of the Young Nation. Just as well, don't forget to check out all the links I have in my description. I already mentioned my social media. As well, you can check out not only my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, and my Snapchat. As well in the description, you can also check out my Amazon author page, which will take you to my Amazon author page for my books. And if you purchase one of my books, you will then be taking part into my charity book sale that is going on until next September. And what's happening with that is 50% of the royalties I get from every purchase of a book, either paperback or ebook, for my first or second book, will be getting donated to the charity City Kidz. And you can find out more information on them in the link below my Amazon author page, because that link will take you directly to their website, and you can find out all the good they do in the community and all the good they do with kids that are in not so great situations. But once again, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video, Young Nation. Bye!